Well, good morning, good evening, good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to Zwift Community Live broadcast of the Zwift Racing League week number 4 team time trial out on the London Greatest Flight. I'm Nathan Guerra, and also obviously presented by WTRL. And next to me is special guest today, as we are missing Anna Russell as well as Dave Toll today, but OJ Borg from World of Zwift and a million other things in the world. Maybe OJ, you know what you could do for us, for those that might not be familiar with either the World of Zwift or anything else that's happening. You know, just as a heads up to everybody, the way I was introduced to OJ was through how Zwift Community Live actually started. Was I saw him on a stage at a Dota competition actually, and that was actually how I got, and CSGO as well, and got introduced to, well, not how I got the idea of broadcasting Zwift races was from watching Dota.
Really?
and things OJ was actually involved in.
No way. You see, because obviously I come from an esports background and a gaming background before. I used to do shows like gaming shows, like before esports was really a thing on MTV years ago. But man, those big esports events are amazing. Can I start off by saying, A, I'm very excited, and I'm so excited that my picture quality's gone terrible. I've got like the world's best internet. For some reason, I can't make it work. I've tried to work out any person in the house who's streaming anything. I've took every item of like iPad off the kids, but I can't work out why it's so potato. So I apologize for that. I'll just pretend I'm in soft focus in the 80s. But yeah, excited to be here, excited to be part of this, excited to be co-coms with you for these races. And can I say that that because I'm doing this, it means I haven't been able to race this evening on Greatest London Flat. So my team was without me, which I'm slightly gutted about because I do think it's one of the best courses out there, especially for raw watts. So it's going to be an exciting couple of hours, Nathan.
Well, you did this course in race number 8, I think, in season 2.
Yeah,
you're a little bit familiar with it, I think. So, what do you? You know, we have our Swift hacks, browser sourced in here a little bit, and to give an idea, speaking of going back to the 80s, but going through here, this is London Greatest Flat, but it's kind of not all
it's
that
not flat. It
right?
is not flat. It is not flat. And it's one of those where I think technically we weren't the best. So we had a lot of raw power. We did all right. What time do you think? What would you say was a good time? Remember, I raced in the Bees. What would you say was a good time? Go on, Nathan.
Oof, good time on this one, I would have to argue, is going to be in the low 40s, high 30s is what I'm thinking, right? So
okay, 43.24 we did. Now, I think we were better than that because I set a whole load of like power records for this race, really went for it, but we were all over the place. And coming through those rollers, we could not hold it together. So we were literally like, we were coming through it, we'd be in a decent position, then suddenly somebody had come blasting through, and then we couldn't hold it together. So by the time we got down into the underpass and through the subway and went around that climb and came back, we were just blown up. We lost 2 of our fastest riders. So it was a real struggle. So I think anyone who's technically good, and I've on the World of Zwift, which hopefully everyone's watched at some point. If not, you can find it on the Zwift YouTube channel. We got you giving us tips on how to be a better time trialer. And the one thing that I haven't tried yet, I did briefly, but I couldn't do it, was first person view. But you swear by that as being a better time trialist, team time trialist.
Yeah, I definitely think that, because what happens is the depth perception, it is the technical, and especially courses like this that do have a lot of little jumps, a lot of little ups and downs, they definitely change things as far as your finessing, that getting right up against the wheel. And if you overshoot, especially with the new AI, OJ, it actually has gotten worse with the new AI. The new AI has, and I don't mean like it's gotten better in my opinion as far as like placing your avatar and being able to draft well, but it's gotten worse as in like people who are used to the old way of being able to just shoot through avatars and it doesn't really matter and kind of like do this blob mentality. That will actually, your avatar, because your avatar cannot sit in another avatar now, it will push the other avatar out of the draft. So now you have to temper, you have to finesse where it's going.
That's what we want. That's what it comes down to. That when the technique comes down, and we've seen it in the Premier Division. We've seen the people who've got the better technique are beating the teams that you would say have the faster riders. So even though you need a ton of watts for this course, and you really, really do, I think especially through the rollers, and maybe not the climb because it's fairly steady, but through the rollers, if technically you're not there, you are going to get struggled and you're going to get caught.
100%. Let's take a quick little look as we do have the women out on course. We'll be jumping first in. Our focus today will be with the B women in Division 1. We will head over to the A's a little bit. We'll head across all of the divisions for at least getting some splits and some ideas, and as well as the results. But we do like to kind of focus in on a narrative or a story for one of the categories. We'll be with the B mainly and the A men as well for Division 1 North on the men, and then the women across all of them in Division 1 as best as we possibly can. Let's go ahead and take a look at how the standings are, though, for this current series and where things are at. We'll start in with the women as they are the first ones out on course. We are at the A women. It is going to be Socks for Watts, Watt TF, with 56 points, being chased by 1 point by Kirchner Women Dev Team, 56 versus 55. That's first and second. Crowds and Stelvio 4 points behind, and then it's going to be No Pins R3RE Racing Team in fourth at 50 points. Aeonian RT at fifth place. BRT Atomic Kittens only 2 points behind them for sixth. It'll be Rafa RCC Women with 41 and seventh. Rave A1 Euro are in there with 8, and it's Pro Noctix This is like Red Chill Bikes. Hyde Jelston. That is, we have this competition for longest team names, and they're right up in there with it as well. And then it's going to be Sweden GNA. Out there as well. SZ Hammer Weight for 10th place with 35 points.
I like it, the fact you've got the longest team name followed by the shortest. If we look at 1B then in the women's EMEA division, Herd of Little Penguins, another great name. It's topping it out, 59 points. Again, just a point behind Kirchmeier Magnolia. Although saying that, what is your pronunciation of Kirchmeier? I've called them Kirchmeier. People have been telling me it's different.
I say Kirchmeier. That's
okay,
what I've been saying. But it both work.
Both work. Belgian Zwift riders, Cat 1, 51 points, are dropping off a little bit, 7 points behind second. Cryogen, Coiffeur. That's the name of a really lovely bike that I like, made by Genesis, the Coiffeur, and I've never been able to pronounce it properly. Too many X's. BVRT in fifth with 45 points. RWB Serrano Hams, B1 at 44. Everyone loves a ham. SZ, I was going to go for the English pronunciation and say SZ then. I will do. EIR. 42 points in seventh. Soxa Watts, the Suffragettes, in 41. Great name. In ninth, SISU Earlag Kalini, 41 points, equal with the 8th place team. And rounding it off in 10th, Sotonia CC WB1 on 37 points.
So that's Sisu, I Race Like a Girl, Kalini. There's no way you could have known that.
Gotcha.
No way at
Sisu,
all. You could
I Race
have known
Like...
that. Yeah, there's no way you could have known that at all.
Now on the known as IR Lag.
I like that, actually. IR lag. All right, coming on in for C Division in the EMEA Women's 1. It's going to be the Herd of Gen 2 Penguins. That's going to be Belgian Zwift Riders Bullets 2. Pretty close there at the top for these top three because BRT Candy Kittens, they're only 3 points behind number one there. They're going to be a battle for those top three spots. Karate, Hotter Than Hell in fourth. It's going to be Bella Vilo in fifth. TFC Storm in sixth. Fearsome in seventh. Aeonian Chica Locas in eighth. And the Kirchmere Erie Bees, followed up by Cryogen Telegraph. That is your top 10 in the C's for the women. On over to the D's.
Here we go with the D's. Division 1D, WTRL Draft Dinos UK D1, 59 points. Rave D Euro. Anyone called Rave just reminds me of my old dancing past. 56 points. 1 point behind Herd of King Penguins on 55. Revor Revels, 47 in fourth. Aeonian Divas in fifth with 45 points. What's up, Demons? 44 points in sixth. Herd of Yellow-Eyed Penguins, 38 in seventh. The Serrano Hams, RWB D1, 36 in eighth. CMA, hashtag misbehaving, 35 points. BRT Blazing Kittens in 10th with 34. It's tight at the bottom there, very tight.
Now, are you seeing a little bit of a theme here? These names are almost like they're trying to get us a lot of these, or at least
every time.
They're so creative.
What? I really struggle with reading names, which is a problem for what I do for a living. And I remember I'll tell you what, do this. I'll tell you the story afterwards about how I made the most ridiculous mistake.
Men's mixed EMEA North Division 1A, the Innovation Alien Resurrection in first. Skylab really close behind there with 57 points for the men. Dirt Wolfpack 2, BRT Thunder, R3R Dev in XS. It's going to be Restart Up Nation in 6th, HDR Cake Crusaders in 7th, Team CLS Pure Quality, TBR 52T, and OVB. That's your top 10. And it looks like it's going to be all about trying to take down the Innovation Alien Resurrection today.
a couple of days ago was actually Alien Day, wasn't it? Because it was 26th of the 4th in the American way of writing it, which is 426, which is the same as LV 426, which is the planet that they landed on. Right, let's look at EME North Division 1B. Dirty Beasts Alligators, 57 points in first. Zed's Son, not Z Son, 52 points. Herd of Racing Palominos in third on 51 points. TBR 48T in fourth, 49 points. In fifth, AHDR Cheesecake Brigade. Everybody loves the Cheesecake Brigade. Sixth is the Vikings Sleipnir. I'm sure that's some sort of Icelandic pronunciation. 46 points, equal with fifth. In seventh, the SWD Hornets on 41. RWB Emerald Flyers in eighth on 40. In ninth, it's the Army Cycling B10. In 10th, Tugaz Gudana. 36 points, rounding out the top 10.
And then in the C category, RWB Green Dragons, followed up by RAF Chinooks. In second, it's going to be BRT Coyotes in third. SDW Skeeters in fourth. RCCE Racing C1 in the C division for fifth. It's going to be Team Italy 3 in sixth. Z Son of a Gun in seventh. Herd of Galloping Mavericks in eighth. Team Electric Spirit Company Vesper, the new kids on the block, that team. Actually seen them all over the place lately. Good to see them here in ninth place in the C division for the North Division 1. RR Woolly Rhinos there in for 10th in this C division. And finally, the D's.
Oh, yes. Herd of One Trick Ponies. This is just 7 teams. Herd of One Trick Ponies at the top on 60. They've been stomping through. RR Endangered Rhinos on 57 points in second. Jordan Hill Wheelers Cat D in third. FCCC Delta Blues in fourth. TFC Wolverine in fifth. 3C Tsunami, 18 points in sixth. And Peregrine, well, in seventh with a mighty 0 points.
Well, that's the current standings, OJ, and we've got some ladies out on course in the B category. Let's see if we start to get some splits coming on. The splits aren't quite on in just yet, but we can at least jump on down to the images. And speaking of what we were talking about here, just a moment ago, OJ, this is exactly what we were saying, how difficult it can be out on this course. We've got a rider off the front for the Wappies in this B category right now, struggling a little bit to keep things together. And again, this course, and actually with the TTT, it can be very difficult across the board when it comes to just trying to keep that you want to press on the front. But OJ, from your experience you've been racing a lot of Zwift racing actually since getting involved in the world of Zwift, which is really awesome to see. And actually you've been racing a really long time. To be honest, I remember commentating on you in before we even had Zwift events, actually, before we had event mode, you were in some of this stuff. So
I love it. For me, it's the perfect meet. And as you said at the top, I come from an esports background. I've always played computer games, so I love that competitiveness. And I think there is a lot. If you understand esports and understand computer games, there's a lot of tactics you can use while you're in a race that some people don't understand. Regularly, if you looked through my Zwift power account, you would see that I'm always, if you look at the power that I can knock out over a race, it's always less than the people around me, just because I think I'm a bit smarter. Plus, I sort of understand racing tactics as well. But add that into my love of cycling and my love of being competitive, which I very much am. It's just perfect for me. So I've loved it. Done a ton of races. Whenever I've got time, I'll jump on and race. In fact, I'd rather race than train. That's where I get my fun from. And what we found, because when we raced through, we weren't a technically good team, as I said before. We would get into this sort of position here. Somebody would go off the front and they would just put the hammer down. And then the problem was, when we were trying to reform up, somebody wouldn't then get off the power quick enough. And I'd be sat on the front and we'd said, whatever, if you're on the front, you're knocking out 3.5 watts a kilo. Therefore, I would hold that. I'd hold 350 watts because I'm 100 kilos. And someone would come past me. And the problem is, at that moment, do you make the decision to speed up and try and get ahead of them? Or do you hope that they're going to feather their pedals and come off the back? So we really struggled with that. And I think a lot of people do. A lot of people have struggled with that. And we can see this here. If you look, now they're starting to form up again now. That's a lovely little line they've got going on, a good pace line. But through those rollers, if you are not on top of it, you are going to lose it. And that's where I think you lose lots of time.
Yeah, 100%. Lose tons of time in that way. So not a good way to do it. The rider, well, it looks like they're starting to get organized, though. I think a little bit of struggle might be here because riders are just struggling with the pace being set by Z Patterson from the Wappies here at this point. Chamber there as well, 2.5 sitting in, 3 seconds behind. But they need 4 to finish, though, OJ. That's the reality here, and they have to slow down. It doesn't help to break things apart necessarily. It does look like Cook, though, is going to be the one that's going to try and glue this back together for them.
Yeah, if they don't get it back together now, they're just killing themselves. They're not getting the draft or anything. What would you say at this point? So say you've gone off the front. Zed Patterson, we saw it before for the What Bees off the front. Would you say if you're the lead rider, do you hold the right pace and hope people are going to catch you, or do you back off? Because I think sometimes if you back off, that's when you start to yo-yo.
Yeah, I think you hold a pace, you hold a steady pace, and you hope. There's two different things that can happen here. If you don't have anybody who can glue it back together and hold a higher pace, if you don't have somebody that can pace everybody else up, then you just have to slow down. But if you do have someone like we just saw from Hansen there, able to pace everybody back up, then yes, you just hold that steady minimum and you have everybody kind of go into the red a little bit, bring it back all together because you don't lose any time. It's all about sacrificing at that moment. What are you going to sacrifice? A little bit of time or a little bit of energy? Do they even have the energy, OJ, is going to be the question, right? And if they don't, then you just got to slow down. It does look like, though, they were able to bring it back together. Good on them. Now they got to get organized, though, here, because this next section, it doesn't get any easier through this next K or so because there is the underground with a little bit of an up push.
Yeah, the underground gets me every single time because it's one of those where I was watching a preview. I can't remember who did it before the race today. And his shout was just to go, everyone goes full gas. As you hit the ramps coming in and out of the underground, do you go full gas? But the problem with that is you can really, if you haven't timed who's going to get back on the front, I think you can lose a lot of time. Technically, one thing I found when racing this is going out hard can be a good plan. You know, if you want to, depends who's around you. But if you can make up that minute quite quickly, or I think everyone's gone on the minutes, haven't they, on this rather than the half minutes?
Yes, I believe so.
Everyone's on the minutes. So it doesn't really work now. But last season, what you could do, and we found that teams were doing it to us, is if they went out hard and pushed up to you, if they caught you, it slowed you down and it really messed with whatever game plan you had. So you were really having to push hard just to make sure you kept the wolves at bay because you could feel them breathing down your necks from really early on. And if they do catch you, that's when there's an issue.
Yeah, it is, definitely. We're going to have a couple, real quickly here, a little bit of technical difficulty. Sorry about the images here, everybody. We're just trying to load up a couple of other, our men's here, and because of that, there's a little bit of a lag here, so apologies on the images here, everybody. But, yeah, so definitely looking at the splits coming on in here, 12:28, 13:06, it looks like. It's going to be tight racing between the women at this point. We'll also try and get the women A's in here in just a moment as well, but it does look like the Wappies keeping things together. 1:18 back for Satonia. Not seeing a time quite yet for this WTRL actually at this point. As What's Up 2 is still waiting on their time to come on through. We're going to see if we can get some updates on that in just a second.
Yeah, looking at those times there, I can't do the maths quick enough to see what they're averaging, but it looks somewhere around, what would you say? If you're coming through the 8 kilometers in 12:38, maths was never my strong point. So I can never work it out quick enough.
There it is. It does look like
there
SZ now coming down through 12:49. So it looks like 13:06 is going to be the lower end of it, perhaps. They do start OJ in order of where their standings are. So one cool thing about that is the people chasing can get a better can get an idea of what they need to go after, and they got a little bit of a carrot to go after, and they can show off what their ability is in this specific discipline versus the sprint competition.
But do you not? So where would you, when you're racing, what would you rather be? Would you rather go out early or go out late? Because I sometimes find going out early, following whatever plan you've got laid down by the DS or however the team you've said, you know, you're going to do 3.5 watts here or 4 watts there, pulls on the front, the times that go with it. Do you find it's better to go early and stick to a plan or to try and be reactive to what everyone's doing around you? Because I have found, personally, chasing something down is never always the best.
I mean, it depends on what you're motivated by. I do not like getting chased. I like definitely chasing. Like yeah. If I see somebody closing in on me, something clicks in my brain where it's like, oh, they're coming for us. I get a little bit more anxious, but they both make me hungry. They definitely both make me hungry, but it's the second one where I'm chasing them down that gets me a little bit more motivated. Definitely both are motivating, but I can get a little bit a defeated feeling if it gets too daunting if I've been chased or maybe this is from experience in racing though, like you make a big move in a race and you get away and then it gets shut down and you get this feeling like, oh, they're strong enough to shut that down. They've shown me that they can handle it, right? You've taken a risk, the chips are on the table and you lost that part of it, you know? So I tend to think that way, which is probably a mental block I need to deal with because the reality is you probably did hurt them. It probably wasn't that easy and they're probably faking it anyways, but definitely the chaser, because if you bring time back on them, or even if they're staying within or they're only a few seconds back, but you continue to keep that, it's kind of like you're in control of that part of whether or not you're it just feels like there's a little bit more control of the demoralization of your competition at that
Yeah.
point.
Yeah, I must admit there is the power of FU as well. I quite like the power of FU, which is how dare you think you can catch me. I do like that. That's when I get super competitive and people coming at me. And just watching some of these pace lines now, when you watch the Premier Division, you realize how well drilled these teams are. You know, the teams that have done a ton of WTRL time trials over the years, you realize what a skill it is, because this is nice and tight here from, who are we watching? Satonia CCWB1. And it looks like that 12:38 is a very strong time for the first 8 kilometers. Is that a fast
Yeah.
time, or have they gone out fast? What are you saying?
It's a pretty good time. Pretty good time there from Satonia there, 12:38. They're holding down well, actually, against some of the top teams. We won't see the fastest times, though, until some of the later starters come on through. We'll start getting those in as quick as we possibly can. We do have the men just jumping out on course in a couple of minutes here. They are out in about 10 seconds. If anyone here is unfamiliar, actually, with how that works, we'll go ahead and bring that in just a moment. You'll get an idea. It's really interesting the way that WTRL has set this up. It's one of the coolest things that you'll ever see as far as the way in which they've really organized this. WTRL TTT, it's been going on for well over, I think, 2 years now at this point. It's pretty amazing. And as you see here, the usual starts, for those that are unfamiliar, in a Zwift race, the banner drops and people go, right? But here, it's a little bit different. Everybody hangs out, they wait in the pens, and everybody has a start time to go at. And so all of these riders here, they're going to have a DS in their ears. They're going to have riders, sitting there with a countdown, and they're going to be waiting for their moment in Discord. They're going to say, go, 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 go. And at that point, everybody takes off. Same way you would in a real-life TTT, except for it's all virtual, and the timing, everybody knows their start time, and it's all really well organized. Pretty amazing that we can get how many. See if we can get our productions here to let us know how many people are actually involved in today's race. I mean, I think we're pushing in the 7,000-8,000 to get everybody organized.
Wow.
OJ is an
It's
amazing thing.
So many people. It's crazy. It is crazy. I must admit, being sat on the start line is one of the things that I'm too excitable, far too excitable when people are sat on the start line. And I have had a habit of going to the pairing screen, and there has been a slight issue at times of getting stuck in the pairing screen, which happened to me on the last team time trial. And I had one of those moments where, when you stomp about, basically had a bit of a technical, so I couldn't get back in. And man, I was so annoyed because I was so ready. I'd ate a load of food, I'd necked a coffee, I'd warmed up, I felt great. And then, technical on the starting line. Nobody loves that.
So
Digital
what
mechanical.
happened, OJ?
I got stuck in the pairing screen. I went into the pairing screen because obviously if you're still warming up and you're in the pens and the banner drops, you can't go over the line. You go over the line, you start off, you're going to be disqualified. Yeah. So I have always gone to the pairing screen, and I've gone to the pairing screen and I carry on riding at that. But I was in the pairing screen, I think, for 8 minutes, and I couldn't get back out again. So I got stuck in the pairing screen, and as I tried to get back into the race, I couldn't. And obviously, because the race had started, I couldn't quit out and get back in, and I missed the start. I was slightly miffed, I must admit. I was annoyed at myself because I knew I shouldn't have gone to the pairing screen. I should have just sat where I was.
Yeah,
pedal backwards.
Been there. So, oh man, rough. Yeah. So, and for those that might not know, you can go to the pairing screen in order to make sure that your avatars do not move. You can make sure that your avatar does not move by going into the pairing screen, and it's one of the easiest ways in order to.
Do you go to the pairing screen?
Oh yeah, 100%. That's the only way to go.
I work off the iPad though, and I think it was just a particular problem I had with a very old, silly iPad. It was my own fault. I knew I should have known. I need to upgrade all my equipment, like the quality of my webcam this evening. I need to make sure it's a bit better. I was going to tell you the story before about my mispronunciations of people's names, which I've always struggled with. And if you watch the World of Zwift, which we do record, it's a pre-recorded program. Sometimes if there's a name, we will have done 5, 6, 7, 8 takes for me to get it right. And I was reading the news on 5 Live, which is a British radio station. It's a news and sports radio station. And I used to host all their cycling coverage. And it just so happened one day the sports newsreader wasn't there, so I had to read the sports news. And it was during the rugby internationals where England were playing I think we're playing Tonga or maybe the Pacific Islands. And if you've ever seen those names, there's a lot of consonants, there's a lot of punctuation. They are difficult names. And I was reading the script, and it was on the computer in front of me, and I saw it coming towards me, and I got a cold sweat across my brow thinking, You're going to make a mess of this, OJ. And I got through every name. I got every name bang on. And I was so relieved. And I had to say thank you to our rugby reporter, whose name was Chris Jones. I got the name Chris Jones wrong. So I got all of the names, all of the crazy names right, and then got Chris Jones wrong. So which I apologize to anybody called Chris or anybody called Jones.
Jumping in with the women's A here in just a moment, because I think we're going to have some better times there with them and able to bring some more through. We're going to get in with the Socks for Watts. James Despas is out there, Socks for Watts, Aeonian. This is a top-end level here, both in the A's and the B's. It's always great to see the women's races having such a high competition. And Despas is what a really great part of the community as well. She's always a very much a part of the socials, getting out there, letting everybody know what's happening. Great leader on this team in a lot of ways. A recent addition to the team, but it was a great pickup here by the Sox Watts team. Let's go ahead and start seeing what some of these times are here on the women's side of things for the A's as we're waiting for some of the B's to come through. No pins R3R E Racing there, 22.18 we're seeing. It does look like a 22.55. They're coming in from the BRT. Atomic Kitten Draft ZRL with a 23.22. Rave A1 Euro, 23.33. Tied up with C2I Race Like a Girl. And usually C2I Race Like a Girl is one of the teams to watch out for the win, but it looks like maybe struggling a little bit today up against this No Pins R3. R3R have shown up to race.
Well, yeah, unless they're holding off until they get to the climb. Because, I mean, I don't know, you tell me, how much time can you save if you really go for it as we head down? We watch this team here, Cryogen, Stelvio, great mountain, head down into the underground. It's one of those where it's not a big climb. It's gradual as you head up it. Do you lose much time there, do you think, as a team? Or is it worth maybe holding off in the first couple of segments to go for it there?
You know, I think the climb, it isn't extremely long. We're out on here with the Canyon Dev team now. They're using the all purple kit that you can see in pinkish purple here. As you can see, there is one rider actually using the Higginbotham
Pro kit,
using the Pro kit here from Canyon. Good to see.
Whoa. That's love it. Do you know what? I have to say, I do race for Canyon. I race for Canyon Ricochet for one of their B team squads. They do have a very lovely kit. Although I don't have the pink kit. I kept having these Friday nights where if you wanted to unlock the kit, you had to go, and they did a ride with a drum and bass DJ, and I kept missing it mainly because Friday night is beer night. It's not riding night.
TGIF ride. You got to do the TGIF ride. That's what it's all. That's what that ride is all about, actually. But jumping in with the Canyon Dev, they're having a solid ride here, as you can see. But falling a little bit outside the top 10. They were just there just a moment ago, so they're gonna have to bring back some time now. Socks for Watts now coming through with that 21.51, absolutely killing it. CCI Race Like a Girl here. Pamela Levine, Roberts, Hale, as well as KMB and Campbell. Now, interesting to see that they went out, I believe, first or second on the day. Not like Seesaw Race Like a Girl to be on the lower ends of the standings here, or at least amongst them for the TTTs. So looking at the women's standings, current situation here for them, it is going to be, I want to get an idea here for Seesaw Race Like a Girl. They're currently outside of the top 10. That is very, very unlike. And I'm wondering maybe if they missed a week or something, because this team with Pamela Levine, Campbell, Roberts, definitely one of the stronger teams, I would say, within the league.
So I don't know those names. You're talking to me about those names. So they should be much further up then, do you feel?
Yeah, I'm just surprised. Pamela Levine, this is a rider, I believe, who was a part of some of the in real life events, qualifying, Seesaw Race Like a Girl, especially within the Division 1. They are always one of the top teams when it comes to the WTRL TTTs on Thursdays as well. So I'm wondering if perhaps being outside the top 10 here, if there was a missed week or maybe just some struggling there within the points races, a bad TTT. But I have a feeling they are going to really make a stamp here on this race out here today and show that they can grab some points and maybe work their way up the standings. Because as we can already see with the split times, they are still within the top, I would say, 7 or 8 here amongst some of these top teams.
Bike choice. Where are you going with bike choice for this? I personally, if I was going to set up a bike, I'd be going full aero. Do you think aero, even though, you said at the top, it is not a completely flat course, whatever it says, whatever the title says, the title can be a bit misleading. 147 meters climbing over the course of it. It's 147, might be more than 147. What is the climbing over the course of the race? Is it 147?
Yeah, about that. Yep, it is about
Yeah,
that.
it's 147, isn't it?
Yeah, 147. Yeah, I would definitely though go with this setup right here that we're seeing Pamela with. Actually, this is going to be the Venge with the 858s, the classic Sprinter, the classic TTT, the bike. Definitely the one that I would be jumping on. The Tron's good as well, but this is just going to be smooth like butter. Through cutting through the air, and it's going to be able to sit in a lot easier. These little ups and downs, they're so short, or at
Here we
least
go.
they're not extreme. Now, actually, there are some power ups on today. It looks like, which is
So
not
we
usually
got
supposed to
power
how
ups
it's going to be. Yeah, it looks like the events team may have allowed power ups to slip through, which is going to change things up a little bit here. And everybody's got a feather, interesting enough. So that's going to change things up a little bit now as KMB pulls on through.
I mean, that's great, RNG. If you've all managed to pull a feather out coming up there, I mean, if you're going to drop it any time, and what great talk between the teams, what great communication for them all to know to hit it at the bottom there, although they've managed to split it up. I mean, this was the question I was going to ask you. What do you do coming up that insanely steep ramp out of the underground? Because it's over 10%, it's steep, you watch your bike grind to a halt like it's hit a load of jelly or treacle on the road. Do you go full on and then hope you all form back up again like this, or do you try and feather the power to keep everyone together?
No, full gas. Full gas. Full, especially a short punch like that. If it's over like the leg snapper, which is about a minute or so, 30 seconds to a minute, then yeah, I would say, 7. For the amen, it's like set it at 7, set it at 6.5, 7, upper end of what everybody can handle, and just get over it. But this kind of a thing, you punch it as hard as you can. The sooner you're over it, the better, the more the speed, because if you kind of temper it when you come over the top, as just get on, or if you can't sprint for that short of a second here, you're probably already close to being done. And I'm not sure how much work you can be able to do on the front anyways. So especially at this point in the race, they're only going to have another 10 minutes maybe of racing or so. Let anybody go who can't really handle that, because the amount of seconds you'll lose on a sharp up like that are huge if you are unable to hang on.
Well, yeah, because we lost. Surprisingly, we had our best climber. We lost our best climber off the back of it, which always surprised me, considering I'm such a lump. I mean, 100 kilos to get over it. I got over the top quicker than him, and we just lost him. And it was one of those very quick decisions of, do you back off and try and get him back on? But as you said, the decision's made that if you're losing the back of a wheel or can't get yourself up it, then you're no good anyway. You might as well just leave him behind.
Yeah, 100%. And I think that the reality is there, if it's one of your climbers there, too, depending on what kind of climber we're talking about. If it's pure climber, a lot of times a very punchy climb like that might not suit them. Speed and watts over something like that a lot of times may be, especially when you come over the top and then it's into a flat where you just need to put your head down, get the speed high again. It might have more to do with the fact that there was a little bit of a gap, and it was on a flat section where it's more the watts and the speed that are going to matter rather than the watts per kilogram. And next thing you know, the lighter riders out the bat. We had a rider here in the WTRL TTT this past Thursday exactly like that. Had a lot of struggle to get back on a wheel on the downhills, a lot of struggle to get back on wheels on the flats, was falling off a little bit on the climbs, very light rider. And because of that, our pure power and speed ended up where he just was off the back over and over again. And we eventually just had to, we tried to let him go, but he was our fourth man. So we had to wait up over and over again.
Let them go, man. Let them go. I also find with the short climbs, they're very like the short punchy ones, which only take sort of 20 seconds to get up. You get a brain lag as well, where it takes a while for your brain or your legs to tell your brain that it really hurts. And it takes a little while for your brain to then tell your legs to stop doing what it's doing. So if you can confuse yourself into it. If you go for it and really, really hammer it, by the time you're up it, you're sort of up and over by the time your body's gone, whoa, this is a stupid idea. Why are we doing this?
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, that could be.
That time, though, just looking at the splits there, that is fast. 21:51 at the 16-kilometer mark. That looks,
look at this, though.
I mean, that's what?
Ooh, look at this here. Roberts off the back. They're really starting to split. Pamela is hungry, I think. She continues to press the pace at the front. Roberts and Campbell struggling to get back on terms here. Hale's now gone, I think. And I think it's going to just be four to the line. I think they have to say,
but she's putting them in a hole, though. She's putting them in a hole. But her strength, what she needs to do is back off now, get the team back together just slightly, unless they're telling her that he can get back on. Oh, it looks like they are going to get back on. But the problem is, if she's that strong and can do this big double turn on the front, set back a bit, let them sit on your wheels, and then you can push on to the end.
Yeah, we'll see how this ends up playing out. It does look like it's going to be forward. They're
They've
going to
got
have to
back
let
on.
Hale gone now at this point, and right to the front, it's going to be Roberts, not waiting up. The communication looks good here for CCY Race Like a Girl.
Yeah, looks very, very good. What we got left? We should have, 6 kilometers left to the finish line?
Yeah, about 6. Yeah, a little bit over 30K here to the finish line is going to be just up and over toward the mall. It's going to be a little bit past the Palace there. And, there is one little uphill as they head into Trafalgar Square. So that is going to be a section where they're going to have to really keep it together with only 4 riders now.
Yeah, very much so. Very much. But 35, what they come through in 35, 36 on the 24 kilometer mark. I mean, that is quick. That is quick. For them to make it to that point in that sort of time is absolutely flying.
Yeah, they're really doing an amazing job here, flying out here today. And looking back here, it looks like Draft here trying to make up a little bit of time. I believe they were caught out there. So Kimbo now 168, as you can see. C-Star Race Like a Girl, the first one's through. That's going to be that 35, 36 there. That Sox Watts WTF there. That's going to be the ones that we're going to be waiting for. It does look like Draft here actually coming in with a better time as they chase them down. Only 4 seconds. Wow. This is very close as the times all start to populate. Now we've got the top 4 there. Canyon Dev, they're really struggling on the day. It looks like back and forth place.
And they've got 5 as well. Draft have still got 5 at this point, which surely, as we head down towards the end with that final 5 kilometers, if you've got 5 team members, what would you do now? Would you try and burn a match, maybe lose a rider, make them do a double, treble turn on the front?
Yeah, 100% full gas. Full gas is what I'd be up to there, and would not be holding back. Trying to do the best that I possibly can just to throw everything down, over the top of that. And, it depends on how the riders communicate. If the riders have something, if you've got it, you go. If you got it, you go at this point. There isn't any reason to hold up. Essentially, you've got, I would say, 4 turns maybe to the end of the race. If you got 5 riders like this, if everybody can hang on and burning, a match here and then resting in, if you got a really strong rider to carry up over the top, having agreed upon pace is really what it's going to be about, though. And where this team is at, they've got to be communicating, because if anybody's seriously struggling, then it would create some issues. They are going to catch Hale here, who was off the back of C-Star Race Like a Girl, but C-Star Race Like a Girl, they're still 18 seconds up. They can make up some time still here, though. This climb is going to be absolutely crucial in this A division.
It is, which I think if you look, I Race Like a Girl, they're maybe preparing for the fact that they split up a bit coming up over the kicker out the underground. I mean, one thing you do have to learn in team time trialing that I had to learn is you have to learn honesty. You have to learn the ability to say, I don't have it. I don't have it in my legs. Because if you race on Zwift, most of the time, what was it? I think it was Dave Toll said this, and I thought it was a great phrase, which is you always eat off on other people's plates before you eat your own, which is if you're in a points race, make sure you're sat on people's wheels. I remember being told by the editor of one of the pro cycling once that to be a great rider, you need to be a weasel. Never and ever sit in the wind. Don't be a strong man or strong woman. Don't try and prove yourself or what a great rider you are. Sit on someone else's wheel until they look weak and then attack them. So learning honesty, learning the ability to say, I can't do any more. Let me do one more turn and drop me, I think is something that takes a while, especially with people you might not know. You might never have met these people in real life. So as soon as you get to that point, I think your team becomes stronger. If you can say, I don't have it, then that is good.
Looking through here, we're going to see if we can jump on in with some more of the ladies here in the A division. It's going to be the SZ team, Gina, I believe, coming on through. Now the times are really starting to populate there, and it's going to be Sox Watts WTF there at the front. 33:43 is the time behind them, chasing them. I think Sox Watts are going to be walking away with this one, but no pins. R3RE Racing Team, they're battling it out with only 1 second between them and the BRT Kittens here. Cryogen Stelvio, actually, though, wow, teams are just starting to update again now. Cryogen Stelvio battling with Kirchmer. BRT Atomic Kittens, they're 34, 44, 46. They're from Odin RT now. And very, very close racing when it comes to 5th through 5th and 6th place there, as well as maybe even out the 7th, but that's the battle for 4th and 5th. I think, the other 3rd place here may be settled at this point. Kirchmer, though, they're right on the heels there with Women's Dev. That might be actually the real battle that we're looking at for the podium, actually, is they're going to be Kirchmer versus Stelvio. We'll see if we can get them on screen here in just a moment.
Yeah, I mean, that is tight, isn't it? 3 seconds between the two. And just looking at their splits as well, they have gone out exactly the same. I mean, there was 1 second between them at 8 kilometers. There was no seconds between them at 16, and then just 3 when they hit the 24K. Who are we watching here? This is our Elliott of which team? This
This could be Rachel Elliott. I didn't recognize that Rachel was racing today, which is absolutely awesome to see. Yeah, Rachel Elliott jumping out here on course right now. And this is part of the reason why this is such an extremely strong team. She's one of the most experienced Swifters, strongest Swifters we've seen. Sox Watts, they've got LS out here. Colleen, one of the strongest climbers that they added in here. I mean, they don't get much stronger than this. This is essentially the team that is showing up week in and week out here for the WTRL TTT, almost undefeated when they do show up. I think they've only lost once or twice when it comes to the TTT on Thursdays, and they've shown up and are absolutely dominating, showing why. The only thing about this team that's missing would be the Hino ladies that are going to be racing in the Premier Division right now. And usually the other 4 to 5 riders that are on this team on the TTT on Thursday is those Hino riders. So again, one of the most experienced, and they are catching teams like nothing as they look to catch up to Aeonian RT just ahead of them right now.
Well, it'll be interesting to see how quickly they come over the line. I think, are you calling it? Oh, there's a catch being made here. This is Sox for Watts catching who? Who's ahead of him?
Aeonian RT just ahead of him. Timwell's going to be here, and it's going to be Sykes, Swan, and Kay trying to hold it together. A little bit of separation here as Timwell tries to keep Sox Watts off their tail. But they need to slow down here at this point because it's going to be a big mess with the pass. And the way that it works with the passing here is actually the caught team has to slow down a little bit, but they're on a downhill here, so we're going to have to see Sox Watts really speed up. I do believe Sox Watts did drop one of the riders here. Listen out, it's as they press on, but they don't need every one of the riders here. They do still have 4, and they're going to make their way through Alien RT now with a whole lot of speed. Timwell not going to slow down. There it is. Nice pass. And Kay now accidentally holding on for just a second, and we'll see if she can slow down and back off.
It is. I mean, it's a difficult thing when you pass or when you get past, because I think, sort of...
Especially on uphill and downhill there, OJ, I think,
especially that, because one thing you'll tend to find as well, which I think is a real issue, is when you have a team catching you, but the team split itself in trying to jump onto your wheel. So you'll have them saying, obviously we've caught you, you need to back off. But if they've dropped 2 riders at that moment, it becomes a really grey area, which is, yes, fair enough, 2 of your riders have caught us, but 2 of your riders are off the back, 3 or 4 seconds behind, because you've nailed it to catch us. What do you do at that moment? I think that's a grey area. Do you wait until you're caught by the other 2 riders, or should you slow down?
Yeah, I think, at that point, it really does come down to the passing team needs to be extremely organized as they come by, because it's kind of rude in some ways, if you're the passing team, that you're not all together in passing. So you do need to make sure you're all ready to go, put the sacrifice in to get by, and then yes, the team that's being passed. So it's kind of a handshake. It's not one or the other. It's a little bit of a handshake where both have to be doing it the right way. And if they both do it the right way, it's great. Sometimes the situation you find yourself in, like you do see with this uphill and downhill sections, though, it can be difficult, and it's just the situation. It's not either team making too much of a big mistake. You're both trying to race as hard as you possibly can. One team is interrupting that rhythm that you've kind of got maybe a little bit. So I think that was pretty well done considering where they found themselves going into Trafalgar Square in that left-hand turn. Very difficult spot to be caught out on course.
Yeah, and just look at this. I mean, that is a great pace line, especially coming down towards the finish line now. The brilliance of them, I mean, one off the front, this is where you just all go all in and try and hit the line as quickly as you can. But they were so dominant then as they came through both 2 passes. And I think it is an interesting thing. I think the way they passed them there, that if you would record that and you'd show that to other people when they are racing in team time trials, that's exactly how you do it. The teams they passed were respectful. The way they went past in a group and they did it quickly. They didn't split up in trying to chase it down. So it was very impressive. Very, very impressive.
All right, it does look like with the A category, we'll start getting some finishes coming on in through here. Let's go ahead and jump on over to the B category for a little bit and focus in on how things are playing out with them. Definitely where we want to be having a little bit more focus on across all the categories. We do see that Sock Schwartz, they look like they're going to be taking it down. We'll see what the results are at the end of the day for them. In the B category, though, the current split situation here, Sock Schwartz suffocates there with the 37.44, who we've just jumped in with. SZEIR, they're only 3 seconds off there with Satonia CC there with a 38.33, pretty far off that pace there. It does look like 24.38 from the Suffragettes there. That was going to be the top time at the 16K. I believe BVRT, though, they're going to be the time to watch out for along with Cryogen Fur. And there it is. That's what I was waiting for there. And that's the tie at the top right now with 36.56. Let's go ahead and see if we can find those riders out on course, because that is going to be the battle for the top 2 spots today.
Yeah, that is fast. Very, very fast. Impressive as well. And there is something, isn't there? Whenever you watch, here we go. Here's the cryogen guy. Guys.
Gals.
Whenever you see a couple of teams that, girls. Guys, I was saying guys as the general. Whenever you see teams that are exactly the same and they have the same time, there's just something exciting about it, because you know it's finely balanced. And it's amazing how many times a team time trial will come down to the finest of margins on the line. And it'll come down normally just for that extra little percent. Who can put it in? And especially with the team still, what we've got there, 6 riders still together. I mean, that is a strong team now. Very, very strong.
Very strong here with Cryogen, and 36.56 is going to be the time for them. Their WTRL, their Watt, it looks like Bees, 37.33 battling with the Suffragettes there, as you can see. But I think if we can find the BVRT team out on course, I do think they maybe are the team that's chasing behind, or did Cryogen go out last? 8.5 left to go for them. Actually, it's Herd of Little Penguins, perhaps, that went out final out there, because they were the top team. Not seeing where Herd of Little Penguins are on course, though, interesting enough. So is this going to be them a little? Yeah, this is going to be the Herd team. This is going to be their kit. As you do see, I don't know if you've ever seen this before, but it Herd's so good, as you can see on there, and you do see all the little animals on the back. So this is going to be the Penguins, but they've lost a good amount of time to Cryogen. Cryogen are just stomping today.
I mean, I would Herd of Little Penguins. Are they a good team time trial team?
Well, I'm not familiar, actually, to be honest. I'm going to go ahead and see, though, here in the B category, Herd of Little Penguins, they were at a 59 points in the current standings, though. That's the thing, is that they were at the top here. Kirschner Magnolia with 58. Oh, wow. Cryogen, Croyfer, they're at 46 points at 4th place, so they're having a monster ride. BVRT as well with 45. And this is what I was talking about. Sprint, points races versus the TTT, you can have a big upset, a big change up, actually, because of the differences in disciplines here, and you can really show off what you've got in a TTT like this.
Yeah, I mean, you look at how they're riding through now. They've still got 6 riders. I don't know how long they've got left to go towards the end, sort of 5 kilometers left before they hit the finish line. They are, to have lost that much time, I mean, you're thinking they're going to not even be on the podium. But if you look at the points, I mean, it's amazing that you've got the team in 4th and 5th battling it out for the top step. I mean, somebody's just put a ton of power in there. Look at that. Sprinting to keep ahead.
Number 5. I'm going to call her Johnny 5 alive here. Now she puts a little bit of a dig on the 5. A little bit of a dig on the front there, maybe knowing that she's got some TV time, saying, all right, come on, ladies, let's go. We're way behind on the pace. We really need to update this now. We are starting to get to some results in. Draft ZRL, they came on in with a 45.37. CSR basically with 22 seconds behind that. So 45.37 is the time to beat, it looks like, so far, as the ladies are finishing out on course for the A division. For the B division, we do not have any results just as of yet, but as we start getting those coming on through, we'll let you know. On the men's side of things, we do have the men's racing out on course. The first team to go was the OVB team. Let's go ahead and hunt over there and see how things are playing as they're heading out onto the Surrey Hills right now, OJ. This is the difficult part on course, OJ, and as being someone who's raced this before, 4 riders left, 1 rider dangling off the back. How did you handle this section?
Already? Well, me being not the best at climber, especially not for something this big, we managed to back off it and we did all get up it, but we were split up. I mean, you look at the technique they've got there, that's pretty good. Coming up a hill like this, what they're putting out, 4 watts a kilo between them. It looks like a pre-planned, this is the amount you need on the front to keep with it. Blob up if you need to. Nobody gets dropped. That is strong. Very, very strong of getting up there. So We handled it badly. As I said, we had watts in our team. We had power in our team. What we didn't have was the technique, which is frustrating. And I think you tend to find as well, it's around about this point, sort of 20, 25 minutes into a team time trial, that if you are splitting up, if you have members of your team who maybe aren't as proficient, you can get really ratty between yourselves. So it's that ability to talk, to have a strong leader who can call it, to back off, to go forwards, to make sure if somebody is riding too hard and destroying it all and tearing it apart. Because I think one weak link, it's a cliche to say it, just because it's a cliche doesn't make it not true. If you do have a weak link that is upsetting the rhythm of the team, you are going to struggle. You're going to lose time, tens of seconds.
Brinkley on the front, 5'7", as you can see there. Sherritt now holding on. It's going to be Andy Sherritt. They're very familiar names, actually, amongst this group of men hammering away. TBR a little ways behind. Looks like OVB are having a really good ride out here today. I have a feeling they did have to drop off Slater. This is the sacrificial lamb, it looks like, for OVB, using the bike radar kit, because this is going to be 100. I think he put everything down coming into the climb and said enough is enough here. The big ring here. Loving the kit. Always good to see them. This is going to be M. Slim with Stroud, Richardson, Fowler there. 4 riders left. I think they're going to go ahead and see. Perhaps they dropped one off, or did they only show up with 4 perhaps? As Team CLS, they're going to be chasing them down.
Yeah, good name as well, the big ring. But 4 riders by this point, still with that much left, is going to be a killer. Just quickly, you mentioned Johnny Five before from the film Short Circuit, which is a great 80s movie reference. Do you remember the Indian who was in it? I can't remember the name of the character in the film. Do you remember him?
I do remember. I do not know the character, though.
Yeah, I can't remember the character. It was a real cliched Indian character. The guy who played him actually wasn't an Indian guy. It was a Jewish guy who put makeup on and put on a terrible accent. Can you imagine that sort of thing being cast nowadays? Would not happen. His name was Fish or someone or other, I think, who played it. But it was just bizarre. I remember looking up who played that guy, and it was a Jewish guy from New York. It wasn't in India at all. It was just a guy with a terrible accent. Anyway, looking at this team now, this is on the downhill segment as they come off the top. They're moving quickly at this point, and they've still got 6 riders, which is what you need.
Yeah, they're doing a great job here from Team CLS. I'll be on to watch out for them for some top times. We still don't have some times coming through just as if yet. As soon as we do get them, we will let everybody know. But on the men's side of things, we are seeing kind of where things are at, though, as on the right-hand side. You can always get an idea. They're 107 behind, so they're keeping it within striking distance for Herd. It looks like Herd getting a little bit, the big ring. Herd and big ring, very similar kits here, but the big ring here getting a little bit separated. They've got to back off, and this is not what you want to see over the top here. This is where you can lose a lot of time, because really on these 2% gradients, this is where the most speed can actually be gained. And so Slim here now having to back off this much as they cause that separation. If you don't come over the top with a lot of speed, it's that much longer to get the momentum going after you come over the top of this little bit of a climb in the hills now. And I have a feeling this is going to be a solid 10, 15 seconds loss, perhaps, to the rest of the teams out there today, OJ.
It was, can I just say as well, I've been fed the information. It was Fisher Stevens who played Ben Jabita in Short Circuit. There you go. There.
Ben Jabita.
Just looking at
Fisher
this.
Stevens.
Yeah,
Short
Ben
Circuit.
Jabita was the character's name. Loving it. Although the second
I have walking robot burgers in my head now. Because of that, they literally have walking robot burgers.
Wow, it was the time where if you watched it, you would have rented the film from Video Box or Blockbuster, whatever your local store was, and then for the next 6 months you'd be going, "Johnny Five is alive." That was it. You'd just be saying, "Johnny Five is alive." It was one of those 80s phrases we all used.
It was.
So this is AHDR, the Cake Crusaders. How are they getting on? What time are they at? Knocking out some big watts there. 6.7, 4, 5 watts a kilo. That's strong at this point.
Yeah, waiting for a couple updates still here from Zwift Power to get us the data here in just a moment to give us some ideas. But they do have, it looks like, a solid 27 seconds over H English here, which if you do the math, I believe they've got only, falling behind here. This is going to be the Restart Up Nation that are chasing them down. I think they've brought back 30 seconds to this team that is in front of them. R3R Dev here now on time with the Restart Up Nation. I think they're just about tied, actually, with them from what you can see with the riders nearby, from what we can tell. We're going to keep on moving backwards as we get in with the BRT MJR, also starting in with their climb. And then behind them, it is going to be Skylab. Now, this is the top teams now that we're starting to get into here. We'll go ahead and bring in the current series standings. They'll give us a good idea at least where everybody stands here and what the competition is going to be like as we wait for the times to come on in. But Innovation, Alien Resurrection, that is going to be the top team. And Skylab, they're sitting in that second place there with 57. That's who we're looking at right now. And then Dirt Wolfpack behind them. I believe Dirt Wolfpack, though, were actually caught. I think Skylab are having such an amazing race that they've caught the Wolfpack and have passed them already out on course.
Wow. Flying. If they're having that much of a... So what many points we got for a win here? Just talk me through the points. I can't remember the points. Is it 10 points for a win in a team time trial?
20 points for the win on the day across both the team time trial as well as the points race, So 20 points on the day. So
20 points and then what, down to, I take it, 1 as we look at them get through. I saw a couple of riders there without heart rate straps on. What happens to them at the end when I saw without heart rate data?
Yeah, that's on the race organizers to see how things end up playing out. They do have ways of checking everything out and making sure that everything is squeaky clean on that side of things. But definitely encouraged on that side of things. Not always going to be. I don't believe it's always going to be DQ, but I'm gonna have to wait and see on the officials here. Let the officials let us know exactly what's happening there. No HRM needed for TTT. All good.
Oh, right. Gotcha. I was just looking at somebody's heart rate. Then it was 198, which I think means they've got the heart of a hummingbird. I mean, that is a fast heart rate. What is your maximum HR? It's got to be something ridiculous. I've watched you on Twitch doing 5-hour rides.
I think I've seen this year. I'm not positive. So, yeah. I mean, I think lately it's been a little bit lower. As I get fitter, it goes down, actually.
Well, that's what you want.
My max heart rate. Yeah, max heart rate doesn't go quite as high as the fitter I get.
Yeah, I would love to have a high heart. Actually, no. Would I want a high heart rate? I don't know. Yeah,
the higher. So it's all about stroke volume. All about stroke volume plus how high the heart rate can beat. So
hang on, what sort of broadcast am I on? What did you say? Stroke volume.
Yeah. How much volume of blood can be pumped out of your heart
again
per each one of the strokes of the heart. So
all right. Well, I'm glad you used those words, pump and stroke, in that order. That's what I'd like to hear. That's what I'd like to hear. Okay. Oh, so Ashton at the front here. And killing it right now, 6.3. And this is a big difference that you can see between those teams that we looked at in the middle of the pack or so that are coming on through. This is why we're seeing 60 points, from them and, from Innovation, Alien Resurrection, as well as Skylab at 57, because 6.5 to 7 watts per kilogram on this climb. The rider's able to hold on. He's kind of blowing it apart, though. He really these riders need to be holding on to his wheel because it's not giving them any speed. And Ying Jiao here, he's going to come through and be burnt, and perhaps actually, what might be happening here? Ashton might be such a strong climber. They're just saying, just carry us over the top and we'll reset after we get over the top, because I have a feeling that Ying Jiao is not going to have the power to come through. Somebody else is going to have to do that, because now at 5.6, they're no longer at that 6 watts per kilogram. So it's a tough one here. Still plenty of this false flat at 2% plus here to go. But now actually Ying Jiao comes on through at 6 plus. So everybody just hanging on to these two monsters as they climb through the second half of this course. Strong riders coming through. You tend to tell, especially at this point, who your strongest rider is. And I think, you've got 10 kilometers still to go. You can be led into a false reading of your own ability. Because I've had, at this point, on this course, I've had great legs. I thought, you know what, I've got this. And suddenly it all goes wrong. And you back off and you cannot hang on for the life of you. I was just watching a couple of orange numbers flash up there as they came through. I'll be interested to see the splits. When we do get the splits through, I'll be interested to see where they're at splits-wise. Because I think, I don't know, who do you think's leading this out right now then? looking at the
Yeah,
numbers.
I mean, between Skylab and if we do look through and see, but Barnesy and crew here, and he's most likely streaming actually. Freyr, this team is so strong. They're undefeated. They've got Adi Viroli here now. He's a Masters national champion coming out of Israel, hammering away toward the front. Barnes, he was in the top 20 for qualifying for the Movistar team as well. Sloan's Wood Holder. I mean, this team is absolutely top notch. They're Premier Division just about when it comes to the kind of level that they hold on to. And I'd be watching out for them actually for a qualification into Premier Division. I really do believe that this is going to be a team that is going to be in the playoffs and to watch out for at the end of the season.
Looking forward to it. I do. I think the whole playoff thing is great. I think that's the way you keep panning out the excitement and dragging it through to see who's going to get promoted. Because you look at some of these teams and you think, you know what? You could see them absolutely managing to mix it with the Premier Division teams who will have raced already, won't they? Do we know what's happened in the Premier Division? Who won what where?
They're just going to be going. The men's race, I believe, is going to be men's, or I'm not sure which one, but the women or the men have already finished, and they'll be out on course again as it's back to back for the men and the women, actually. So both of them are still going to be hammering away out on course, actually. We do have some images actually able to bring in here to give you an idea of exactly what I'm talking about, what this looks like for this team. Always great to see.
We've got a catch coming up here.
Yeah, they're going to be catching, it looks like. Solid job here from Innovation. They're going to be catching the Dirt Squad, actually. Now, to give you an idea of how things are looking here, though, with this team, we do have Barnesy. He's over, actually, on Twitch right now streaming, which is always cool to see. And really smashing it at this point. We'll see if we can bring in some live images of Barnesy because it's always great to see. Actually, head on over and make sure that you give the support to the entirety of the community. It's always great to have them out there showing their live images of what they're putting out on course. It's always awesome.
Here we go. Orange numbers. Here we go for some orange numbers. Here we go. What a place to catch as well. What a place to make the catch. Orange numbers for everybody. Wow. Okay. That was strong. To make the catch and make the pass all within that climb coming out of the subway, I think is pretty impressive. Very, very good. Hey, here's another 80s TV question for you. Skylab, name the film.
Oof, no idea. Honestly, no clue. It's a Terminator? Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Skylab.
Gotcha. Skylab. Yep. Gotcha. In the corner here, we do see Barney's live point of view here. As he comes on in, they've still got a ways to go to. The suffering looks so incredibly real. Divioli here hammering away on the front. This is going to be Barnesy here in the main view, as you can see. But then in the lower left there, you can also see his first person point of view. Let's go ahead and see if we can bring that on in and see what this looks like here for this man. I mean, absolutely flying here. He's got, it looks like a solid 20 viewers. And I always love to see the lower left-hand corner. You can see the actual power coming in from the legs there, 4.9, 2.8. Now look at the feathering here from Barnes. Barnes he's really good at his feathering. Did you see how he pushed through at that 2+3? Now he's down though to 3.8. Look at the wattage come right on down. As you can see, this looked like he's got a couple of people coming on in with either a sub or a follow. Great to see. People supporting him live there, but now up into 5.7, he's looking to hang on. Everybody grabs onto his wheel, but you can really see the experience here coming from Bardi as it's his turn to pull through. Now pumping up into 6-7 watts per kilogram as now Diviroli now goes to the back. Great to see. I mean, top notch here from this team.
You said, was I watching him feather the pedal? No, I wasn't, because I was beautifully watching his legs and knees on the leg cam, which I thought was great. But I do love seeing people streaming on Twitch because I work, my other job is working in radio. So I do a late night radio show in the UK for the BBC. And I will sometimes have you on if you're streaming or other people if they're streaming. It's just really nice to have it on and watch what people are doing. Although I must admit, you have before done rides which have been so long and so intense. I've done an entire radio show and gone home before you've got off the bike.
That's what it takes. That's what that's the level that these guys are at, trying to race amongst. I was actually having a conversation with one of my athletes I coached yesterday specifically about Barnesy and the kind of level that he's trying to take things to top notch. And that's the reason why these guys are at the top of this of this league, why they're undefeated, because the kind of commitment that they're throwing in. We're just starting to get these split times on in. As you can see, OVB there 31-31, R3R Dev in excess there 31-42, tied with Blue Startup Nation. BRT Thunder there 31-55, HDRK Crusaders. It does look like, though, if we swap it up to the 16K as the last marker, let's go ahead and push that button. Team CLS 21, it's going to be Innovation, actually. They're 2023. Skylab are only 7 seconds behind. Coalition didn't show up today, it looks like. That's why they're up at the top there with no time. R3R there at the 58. So the battle is going to be between the top two teams, as you can see there. And we'll go ahead and reset that and bring it back out to the 24 and see how things end up playing out on the day. But still plenty of racing left to go here. And between these teams, it's going to be those top two, Skylab and Innovation, still with their times to come on in.
Absolutely flying through. And you look at the fact they've still got 5 riders at this point. I mean, this is when you would start absolutely laying it down. 5K to go. You've got one more rider than you need. Push on through. Burn a couple of matches. Who do you choose normally who's going to be the sacrificial lamb, Nathan? When you're calling a TTT, who do you choose? Because, again, as I was talking about before,
the person who doesn't have it anymore. The person who says, I'm dying, right? Like, I'm not going to hang on any longer, and they know it. And that's the person you say, fine, act like you're sprinting for the line, because their sprint is probably only going to be a little bit more than what you're pulling on the front at that point, right? Like, let's say this team's pulling 6.5 on the front. That seems to be where they're at or so. And somebody's like, I got nothing left. Somebody who's going to give you 30 seconds can probably only pull 7 to 8. Everybody sits on at about 6, right? Gets that little bit of burst of speed, and then you restart. You know, so I think that's really where it's at. Is it's all about the riders who don't have anything left. You push them to the front because they're going to drop anyways.
Well, yeah, but that's, again, where I feel the honesty comes in as we see a split being made here. I mean, this is the point where you can feel other teams breathing right down your neck, or you're chasing those few seconds, and that's when you end up splitting the race as we watch. This Alien Insurrection that we're watching now? It is, isn't it?
Skylab now. Skylab is in the white.
Skylab
used the white kit here, as you can see. They use the Gear Patrol kit. As you can see here, they always look really, really great, actually, this team with this kit, actually. But as you can see, the time here, Innovation, they keep chasing them down. There was a little bit of a angst there you could see from Skylab just a moment ago with a solid orange number punch, because I think they do see that Innovation have closed down a solid 20 seconds almost gap at this point. They continue to put, they've opened the gap, another 20 seconds at this point. So Skylab losing the race in the second half, it looks like, as they continue to push on. Innovation really smashing this one in the A race today.
Yeah, very much so. I mean, that's a big old gap as well, considering where they are together. I mean, there's still a bit of time left for them to see if they can pull it back, both for Skylab and Alien Resurrection. But they have lost it. You know, I think, obviously, you look at the 8 kilometers, they were 5 seconds up. The second, they were, a few seconds down. But then, you know, as it gets towards the end, make sure you still got a strong team. What I think is amazing is the fact, if you look at some of these watts per kilo, you see in orange numbers as people are trying desperately to hold on, and your mind is scrambled by this point. This is the point where rational thought has gone out of your head, and it is literally, it's survival mode. You go back to being a base human, an absolute base human. As we watch, look at that. You can see that there as he puts the power down in our little in screen. Who is that? I was going to follow him on Twitch. What's his name?
That's actually good. That's going to be Barney. It's going to be Barney over on Twitch. Go check him out. It's Barney NZ. He's going to be the top Zwift stream actually right now. If you head on over there. NZ. Yeah, Barney _NZ. He is live. He's got 21 viewers. One of you that just got added to there.
Followed.
So, now Viorli now pushing on through. Barney was the one who Hobo Joe. That's gonna be.
That's
I'm loving it. You're coming on through for the squad. Loving it. Barnesy now here going to the back of the pack. You can see the live images of him there from his Twitch stream in the lower left hand corner. We've got a little bit of rave music coming on in here. You know this Adam Smasher rave music here that's coming on in is a little bit of something that we're using with one of our teams actually named Rave. I don't know if you know the team there.
Yeah, I saw the Rave.
Yeah. They've inspired this. They've inspired the music actually coming on in. So out there today.
So I'm I'm a massive fan of riding with music. Absolute massive fan of riding with music. In fact, I actually wrote a big article. I made a documentary about how music aids sports performance, and I worked with a professor from a college down in the south
that's
of
actually
England,
studied. That's like a real deal thing, isn't it?
Absolutely. So yeah, it's to do with perceived exertion. So if you listen to music and you get your RPM of your feet going at the same pace as the BPM, what your brain does is it actually tunes into it. Your actual brain waves start to change, and you have, and I can't totally remember, I'd have to dig out the article because it's about 5 years I wrote it, but the pain that your legs send up your central nervous system into your brain, if you manage to tune it out, you'll be able to get up to, I think it's 11% less in your perceived exertion and your perceived exhaustion. So basically, you're still as tired, but your legs can't tell you they're as tired as they actually are because you've got this music going on and it's blocking it out. Your brain doesn't have enough bandwidth to take all those signals and it just can't send it up. But it only works for a certain set of people, and it's to do with interior and exterior people. So if you were an interior person, you like listening to your body. So the way that you get through is you would listen to yourself heavy breathing, you would listen to the pumping of your heart, you would listen to the sound that your legs make or the pedal or the cranks. You're listening it all the time. If you're external, you want to externalize that pain, you need constantly looking for ways to lose yourself in the moment. So I basically would listen to this and be like, yeah, this is good, I'm into this, I'm going to go faster because of it.
Interesting. It depends on how you deal with pain, essentially. Depends on just how
pretty much, yeah. So what would you do?
Pain.
Would you rather have music or would you rather listen to your body?
So for me, it's both. It depends on where I'm at in the ride. So like the first few sets, okay, yeah. Bring in the music. When I get really tired, I throw the music out of my ears because it's like, it's an extra thing I have to pay attention to, and I don't want to. I have to just pay attention to just suffering, just getting through, and like the energy expenditure is too much for me actually at a certain point, especially on like 3 to 5 hour rides where I'm like,
wow, yeah.
It's almost like the energy to even allow my inner drum to like have to do anything with my brain is sugar being used, and I just get mad if I hear anything. It's interesting.
So you see for me, when it gets really intense, I want the music. I want the ability just to lose it and not be able.
That's not what we want one bit. That's
messages.
Yeah, that is not what we want.
I want the ability.
Oh, interesting.
I don't want to hear anything. I literally I want to hear music. Take the music. Take me out of the pain I'm in. Although saying that, I tell you what I found, and I think I messaged you on this on a World of Zwift recently, was that I've raced so much that my FTP, I now struggle to train because I've got my FTP to a point where I can't do like super hard sessions because I just can't turn the pedals.
Interesting. So, all right, looking to the rise. Apologies on that there for a second, guys. Get a little bit of a back scenes there to the Facebook page, but it looks like Barnesy here to the line, hammering now. Mac Ray, they caught a couple of these riders out here. Amazing ride here coming in from Barnesy and crew, actually. It does look like the the dirt team here with Biggs, Bullen, and the rest there. Corbin from, is it Corbin actually guessed right? No, he dropped off from the big ring team here. The dads inside riding trailers. It's going to be the last team across the line, but it does look like Innovation most likely walking away with this one. Apologies on the scene selection there for a second, guys. We're using a new way of bringing in our sources, and interesting enough, it went ahead and just decided to grab a screen capture there, but it's all good. I am seeing Carissa here, Bramhall, Mint coming on in. Good to see Carissa, Mint there. Weird. I'm the opposite of Nathan. I need music when things get bad. Yeah, it's interesting. I do have that. I do have that up front until a certain point. And then once I hit a certain point, it's just like no more. It has something to do with the reality of the energy being used at that point. I don't want to say that. I want to be like, well, it has to do with digging really deep. I want to be like, oh no, it just has to do with how deep you've dug, kind of a thing. And whether I want to say inside well, if you dig deep enough at a certain point of energy expenditure, your body starts going, I don't have any more sugar to give to this activity, and that has something to do with it. Because I get the feeling that it has something to do with that it has something to do with my body saying, I don't have any more energy to give to this to even allow you to listen to music and enjoy it anymore. Because I actually don't think it has anything to do with. I do think I'm very motivated by music. And I know we're totally off the race here. We'll get into the results here in just a moment. But to keep on going on that subject, we're almost in a podcast realm. But I definitely am super, super motivated by a beat, a rhythm. I almost feel like I need it to go listen to. But I can tell when I'm tired, and it has more to do with like the fatigue that. It's like an extra thing I have to give to. It's interesting.
So you think it's
brain bonk?
Think
brain bonk. Carissa is saying brain bonk. I think so.
A brain bonk is that's an interesting way to put it.
Katie Brady Pothier is saying it's stimuli. You've reached your limit. I think it's the. I think it's the stimuli thing.
I think exactly that. But I think if you can train yourself, and I think I've managed to do this, and I'm not saying that I do the same level of the ride you do. You know, your sort of 3 to 5 hour rides on a turbo are just a majestic for me. I can't make it that far. But I find that if I use a song which is motivating for me, so it's the right type of music, it has a positive mental image for me, and it has positive memories, then it is. There's not. I use that music, and I'm in there, and I don't listen to my legs, and I don't listen to my body, and I can almost trance out to trance, as it were. I think it comes down to an interesting way of what you are like as a person, and I think it comes down to if you need to just exit your body, you need to be outside of your body to carry on the suffering, and almost look at yourself sweating and suffering and crying blood and cranking and going through all of those things. Then you can. If you're the sort of person who maybe just needs to focus and say, I see those watts I need to hit, I need to do it for that amount of time, and I just need to focus on that. I think exactly as you have been saying, it's the lack of stimuli.
So, interesting. Okay, well, let's keep going on this for just a moment as we wait for the results to populate. We do got to wait for a couple of minutes here for results to populate. And, it is a different mode set, actually, that I get into. And I'd have to actually agree with you there that if I let go of what kind of watts I need to hold, though, if I let go of that focus or whatever that is and just kind of like, whatever, just get into the music and hammer away. And even at the end of a ride like that, and that might have something to do with it, is like either I can give energy to focusing on the watts with my brain and focusing on like, okay, I'm holding 250 for this final 30 minutes or final 10 minutes or whatever. And it feels impossible, right? And if I let go of that and then just like leave into a space where it's just like listening to the music and let that take over, I do that at times. I do get into different modes. That's interesting that you say that. I do kind of like, because when you're suffering that much, you try everything to negate it, right? You try every tactic mentally to like convince yourself this is okay to keep doing, right? Like, it's just
I have raced on a single song. I've done a 45-minute race on one song, which is 3 or 4 minutes long, and just repeated because I found that it gave me this rush of adrenaline. So I'm talking about racing mode here rather than actually in like a training mode. And I have found that it's given me the same amount of adrenaline as it would be having a gel. It's like a mental gel for me. It's an oral gel. I listen to this music, I take it in, and I seem to go faster. It'd be interesting, and because the research that I can't remember it now, it was 4 or 5 years ago. I can't remember what I did this morning, let alone what I did 4 or 5 years ago. It'd be interesting to look back into it again to see if they changed it, but it was all about the positive connotations of the music and getting your BPMs the same as your RPMs. That's where it's at. It
does look like you were wondering what was happening with the Zwift Racing League Premier Division. They are out on for race 4 as well in the same exact. They are live over on Zwift as well, and it does look like Beast Mode finishing up. It'd be interesting to see how Beast Mode are competing as well. And as a heads up, all of the teams that qualified into the Premier Division actually came up through the ZRL Community League, and Beast Mode being one of them. They're actually finishing up right now as I'm watching the back end of the commentary there and everything for the men's race. The women have already finished, so those results should be coming up pretty soon as well, coming in from Zwift Live. So great to see. Let's go ahead and see if we do have some results here, though, for the women's side of things. It does look like we do. Let's go ahead and see how these ended up playing out here. Do we have a visitor? Is there a visitor behind you there, OJ? Kid still? Kids still up or
No, the kids are theoretically in bed. It's why I've gone into
theoretically.
Well, theoretically asleep. They're at least in bed. I must admit that's why I've gone into whisper mode because I can get overexcited when I'm in front of a microphone. Oh, here we go. Let's have a look at that. Wow, what a performance by Socks for Watts. 43 seconds ahead. Wow.
Well, we said Rachel Elliott and crew, always the ones to watch out for, almost undefeated on WTRL TTT. They are the TTT queens, absolute champions. So Sox Watts WTF. They're in the 4.5 watt per kilogram average. No pins R3R, their E-Racing team, 43 seconds back. Kirchner Women Dev there, 107. Very tight. Crowd and Stelvio, good to see on them. And they are coming up the leaderboard. That's a great time at that 108 back. Aeonian RT there, a full minute back, though, from Cryogen Stelvio. So we're really seeing who the cream of the crop are at this top end in the women's Div 1As. BRT Atomic Kids 211. Their score. Rafa RCC Women A there with 217. Draft ZRL 305 back. SZ Guyana there, followed up by Sisu. I Race Like a Girl, struggling today. Not usually what I would expect there from Sisu. I Race Like a Girl at 327 back. We'll see if they can kind of try and bring some things back together here in the back end of this season, because 4 races to go and falling down the leaderboard. We'll see what happens with Sisu. Go. Bring her over with the bees though here, as it's gonna be crowded at the top there. OJ, almost called you Dave.
And
I was close to calling you Dave there, OJ.
Davey Toll. Do you know what I wanted to do? He was. I'll get into these results in just a second. But what did he say? In one of the last races that I watched him, he talked about the Canyon team being like a nuclear runaway train, and I wanted to turn it into some sort of movie. I thought it would be great. Anyway, let's look at the EMEA Division 1B Women's Cryogen Coiffeur. 47.21. They take first place. BVRT. It was tight up until that last few kilometers. 9:37 back. Take second place. Heard a Little Penguins, 21 seconds back on them. WTRL Watt B, 56 seconds back. Fifth with SZ. Zwift has ruined me for saying the word Z. Really has. I would in an English accent say Z. I now have to say Z, and it confuses me every time. SZEIR in fifth. Socks for Watts Suffragettes in sixth. RWB Serrano Hams B1 in seventh. And then rounding it out in eighth is Satonia CCWB1, 2 minutes and 14 seconds back.
In the C category, Herd of Gentoo Penguins, they pull it off again here. It's going to be 48. Wow, very close to it. Belgium Zwift, Riders Bullets 2. And that is the battle, because in the standings for this C category, it is those two at the top. 55 and 53 is the difference between them in points. And then it's going to be TFC Storm actually getting the better of the BRT Candy Kittens. TFC Storm are all the way down in sixth place. That is going to bump them up. And again, the TTT showing where people can gain a lot of points in this season. Great job to TFC Storm. And Storm, that's going to be Carissa. Carissa Min giving the go TFC Storm, killing it out there. One of our longest, maybe one of the absolute longest 4-year follower anniversary, actually, with her over on Facebook, and a part of that team. Always great to see the longtime standing community members as well as admins, huge part of the Facebook community. So Carissa, nice job to the team out there. Fearsome with the 58 seconds back there in fifth place. RWB Serrano Hams there in sixth. It's going to be Bella Vilo there in seventh, followed by Revo Galaxies in eighth. Aeonian Chica Locas in ninth, and Clapham Chaselles there coming on through for that 10th place. Wow. Amazing racing there from all the ladies, though. But that is going to be quite the bump there for TFC Storm. Over to the D's there. We got Dinos at the top.
We have indeed. Dinos at the top in a winning time of 52 minutes and 11 seconds. And then running down, Herd of King Penguins in second, minute 39 down. So big old jump. Rave D Euro in third. Fourth is the Revo Revels. Fifth is RWB Serrano Hams, the D1 team. We're down to over 3 minutes, the gap. Zwift Scotland, WD1 in sixth. What's Up Demons in seventh. BRT Blazing Kittens in eighth. The Onion Devil Divas in ninth. And then Herd of Yellow-Eyed Penguins are in 10th. 10 minutes down. That is a big old gap between first and 10th. Massive
Big
gap.
there. Yeah, that's maybe a little bit of disorganization out there, perhaps. You know, in the men's race here. Go ahead, LJ.
Sorry, I was going to say it's interesting looking at the watts per kilo of the teams because it's not always. I mean, obviously at the top of the men's there, you can see that they've absolutely stomped it with 5.8 watts a kilo across all of it. But it's interesting seeing some of the teams that have a lower watts per kilo but a better time, which I would guess, and Nathan, confirm if I'm right here, means that their technique is just better.
Oh, yeah, 100%. Just comes down to technique at that point because you slow your team down if you keep interrupting at the front. If you do not hold your order, 100%. Looking at this innovation, it obviously walked away with it. 30 seconds over Skylab. OVB had a good day. They came in for third, a minute back. Their Restart Up Nation, they battled with R3 Dev in excess, and they were able to take them down for fourth, fifth for R3R. BRT there at 140 back in sixth. HDR Arcade Crusaders in seventh. It's going to be Dirt Wolfpack in eighth. Team CLS Pure Quality in ninth, and TBR 52 Teeth in 10th. Now, for the standings, I believe Dirt Wolfpack had 50 points. So they really had a rough day out there today, and this is going to be some change-ups in the overalls as OVB were all the way down in 10th with 33 points, but they ended up in third place. So that is a big day for OVB. Watch out for where the standings are going to be coming in for next week. We'll see if we can actually get a reload on these standings after this. And yeah, there's actually a pretty big change in them. This is going to be the situation. We'll jump back over this because Skylab 76, BRT jump up, innovation. Look, there's a tie here in third and fourth now because this Dirt Wolfpack fall down out of, I believe they were in third place. Restart Up Nation, they bump up. OVB, they were all the way down in 10th before. Now they've jumped up to 8th. So there's a lot of racing, 4 races to go yet. So great to see on everybody on how this is heating up and lots of competition here in this Division 1A. Let's head on over though to the Bs. It looks like it was Zed's son, not Z-son. Oh, they got us. They got me. That was just for you today, OJ.
Oh, yeah. Zed's son, not Z-son. 42 minutes, 50 seconds in position one. Strong.
Team name. That was that team name from the get-go, too. That was just from the start of the season to now was just waiting for you to say that to get me. I love it.
Love it. Number 2, Dirty Beast Alligators. 30 seconds down. Again, it's another strong place from first down to second. In third, the AHDR Cheesecake Brigade. Fourth is Herder Pacing Palominos. Fifth is RWB Emerald Flyers. SDW Hornets in sixth. The Vikings Sleipnir in seventh. Army Cycling B10 in eighth. R3R Wasp in ninth. TBR 48T down in 10th position. But it is tight. After that first to second, it is tight for a spread of just a minute and a half between 9 teams. That's good. That is a good spread.
Yeah, it obviously shows that this is a very competitive category within this Division 1 for the North. It is going to also be, as you can see, only 2 minutes here also in the C Division. So a lot of times the way that WTRL is organized in this keeps it extremely competitive there. RWB Green Dragons 46. It's going to be RCC E-Racing C1 there, 32 seconds back though for second place. It's going to be RR Woolly Rhinos there. Only a 4-second spread between them. It looks like between second and third. Herd of Galloping Mavericks there, 38. What a battle for the podium. Team Electric Spirit Vesper there in 5th. SDW Skeeters in 6th. BRT Coyotes followed up by RAF Chinooks. And then it's going to be Team Italy 3 and Zed Son of a Gun. There you go. Coming on in for 10th. I don't know how long that one's going to last.
And then here you go, a division with just 3 teams in it, or 3 results so far. The EMEA North Division 1D, Herd of One Trick Ponies have come in first, 51-43. RR Endangered Rhinos in second. TFC Wolverine in third. Just 12 seconds between the 3 teams. All
right, well, that is going to be it. OJ, great little conversation. More of a podcast coverage here, which I actually kind of like, and it's good. I'm seeing some comments also coming through. Nate Federer saying it's impressive. Oh, that Nathan can play video games while training while you guys are on this topic. On the topic of focus, I stopped doing anything. At the end of those longer rides, I just completely check out. Like, I can't do anything. And it's interesting. It's like this level of like, I start the ride for these 5 hours. So I do these 5-hour rides. If you guys didn't know, it's kind of like a bread and butter of my endurance training. I'll set up ERG mode. I'll set it at a goal, right? And usually if it's a goal of either I know this is how much I need to do to get a training response, or it'll be like I'm going for a personal best. The best I've gotten is almost 270. I think I've hit like 265 5 hours straight. Yeah, or something like that, right? And so
I mean, you only weigh
my
like
goal,
4 stone.
my goal is 4.0. My goal is 4.0, 5 hours straight. That's the goal, right? And so I've hit like 3.8 or something like that or whatever. And so, I think I might be able to do it now because my power is the same and I'm actually coming down in weight. Anyways, besides all that, the idea here is that, I'll start like, how do you manage that time? So I'll start with nothing, just Zwift, and kind of get by for the first half hour as if like you're just like getting a normal ride in and you're not using any distractions, because you need to like temper your distractions, right? You need to like not get bored of them quickly. So you kind of like do nothing for the first little bit to like be like, well, I'm use that later, right? Then I can play Apex or a first-person shooter for a little while, but that gets too wild.
Do you play on PC as well?
Do you
play Apex using a mouse and keyboard?
Oh,
Man,
mouse and
that's
keyboard
too much
here.
for me. And I can't do a mouse and keyboard at the best.
Well,
of time.
Sombrero. Sombrero.
Yeah.
From So he's early on. Tim the Tatman hosted me, or he didn't host me. I think he just came in and watched me for a little bit, and then somebody else like hosted me, and he had me on screen, and I was playing. It was during the Overwatch hype, right? Everybody was playing Overwatch, and I was playing Reinhardt. And like killing it, like taking people, and it actually made me pedal harder. It was like the same thing with the music. I was like taking people out with a big hammer while I was hammering the watts at the same time. Anyways, but the games stop at like 3 hours in. There's no way I could focus anymore. I'm just like, just music. And then after, like, it's always the last half hour. I just take the music out. I'm like, I can't even silence. I just need silence for some reason. Anyways, interesting topic. That's for sure.
I was very close to working on the Overwatch League, but I got offered a job in the UK and couldn't do it in the end. But coming up to Overwatch, I did a load of training on it because the game came out. As you said, there was the Overwatch hype, everyone was playing it. And I turned it on one night and I was playing it on console. So I did the usual thing with a console where you buy it, you stick the disc in, and then you have to wait 4 hours for it to download some update. And then I went to play it, and in the time I'd gone out to get a bottle of wine, I'd come back in. It had downloaded another update for like another 45 minutes. I was like, Anyway, I drank the entirety of this bottle of red wine, which you should never do, and I don't recommend. Anyway, I'm pretty half cut playing this game, and I jumped into it, and I just battered everyone. I was playing as Bastion, which is the robot guy, and I took everyone out.
But you weren't on a bike. You weren't on a bike, though.
No, I wasn't on a bike. No, I was just playing sat on the sofa.
I'm just
so I took everyone out, man. I was like, oh my God, man. You know what? I could go pro at this. Teams are going to sign me up. I'm amazing. Turns out I was in the tutorial.
Yeah, you were playing the bots. He was playing bots.
I was playing the
bots.
I was so drunk. But I'd photographed it. I took photos. I tweeted about it. I'd Instagrammed it. I'd done messages. So like when I realized, I was like, oh my God, take that down. Delete before anyone finds out. Terrible stuff.
Don't go in the lava. I love it. You've got some pretty good reactions from this one. Great to see. OJ, it's great having you on. Maybe, next time we'll have you on, we'll just do a podcast. We'll just hang out and talk for a while. We'll just hang out and chat.
Yeah.
Good stuff. What's next for World of Zwift? You're recording on tomorrow?
Recording tomorrow, so that'll be out on Monday. I don't know what we're doing tomorrow. I had something. I missed the meeting. We're supposed to have a script meeting, and I missed it because I was trying to get sorted for this. But I know. But I've seen the email. I know what's on it. It's good. We'll do another feed zone. I think we're talking about the racing that I've gone on tonight. We'll review that.
Can we get some top secret? Like, what are you eating? Do you know what you're eating?
Can I tell you? Normally, I don't know, but they have actually told me for tomorrow. So we are doing a gel roulette. They've managed to get our
a whole bunch of gels, a whole bunch of different gels.
They've got a whole bunch of gels. They've got all these gels. And I think, basically, I've got to try and work out the taste of each one of the gels because I'm not a fan of gels. I don't eat gels. I can't stand gels on a ride. I just find by the end of it, I feel like I've been dunked in. Well, no, for me, my gel is a banana. I will just inhale bananas all day long.
I like chews better now, though. I definitely like a Cliff Block or a chew or whatever. Anyways, we're really hammering on.
Yeah, anyway, mate, thank you so much for inviting me. I've loved it. Absolutely loved doing this. I thought the racing was great. You're amazing. I've loved doing it.
Thanks a lot, OJ. I'm Nathan Garrett. OJ Borges next to me. World of Zwift that's coming out obviously every Monday. He's on. Go check him out over on Twitter and all the good things. We'll be back with Dave Toll in just a few hours for East, and then Kate and Dave will be back for West later tonight for the rest of Week 4 and the TTT on the London's Greatest Flat. As always, everybody, you can check out all the replays, hit those follow buttons and those subscribes. And thanks to the viewers and the riders, as always. Right on!
Right on. I'm going to play Apex.